Hi everyone, welcome to our video on assembling our tech deck ramp. So we're going to do a dry fit first, which means no glue. What I have here are all the parts that I need. I have my 3 middle vertical supports, my 2 outside ones. I've got my top deck, my back deck, my 2 pieces of bottom deck, and then my flexible ramp here. And I've got some thin 1/2-inch tape here to hold everything together as I do it. And I need some wider 1.5-inch tape as well, because we're going to need a lot of strength to hold the deck on. Don't use the thick stuff for just joining like edges because it's expensive. No reason to waste that when we have this cheaper, thinner tape for that. All right, so the purpose of dry fitting, which means assembling without glue, is simply to see if we've done things correctly. So if we've forgotten for some reason to say this piece is going to have to go onto this piece, say in Fusion we forgot to cut this edge into it, we can find out that during the dry fit before we start having glue sticking everything together and ruining everything. We can fix some stuff. So some things I noticed right away is that these are my interior supports. I accidentally engraved an image on an interior support. That's not going to be visible. It's going to be under the ramp. It should have been on this side of this piece. So there's something, if I wanted to, I could go fix before I started gluing up. Just go cut another one of these outside pieces and put my image on it instead. All right, so let's go ahead and get started and see what happens. These are the 2 bottom pieces. I actually have already glued them together. You shouldn't have yours glued together yet. You're going to just see if everything's fit first. So I'm going to actually take the flexible deck. I'm going to put it to the side for now. We don't need it. And I'm going to line up my 2 pieces of the bottom perfectly well. So I'm going to look and just try and get them really lined up nicely in through here. And then I'm going to assemble in my 3 middle supports. I'm just going to wiggle them around and try and get them to go in. This is the first one's the hard one because you have to get everything to line up. And there, that first one's in for me. And then once that one's in, it should line up the other ones pretty well. I like to do the outside one next because that one will do the final bit of alignment. So I just play with it a little bit. There we go, that one's in. And then my third one, I'm going to put the middle one in third. I'm going to avoid pushing hard. What I want to do is get it aligned, not smash it down in place. What I'll find is if I get it aligned, it should go in fairly easily. If I'm pushing a lot of pressure, that means it's not aligned properly. All right, so I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the back on. And I have a drawing on mine, so this is the upside for the drawing. So I'm going to try and put it on. Oh, but I'm noticing, oops, I just pulled that out. I'm noticing something right away. Let me show you what I did. I try to put it on this way, but it doesn't go this way. It actually goes this way. So there's mistake number 2. When I put the image on the back, I put it upside down. So if I wanted to, I could at this point I could stop and go recut this as well. So I'd go redo this image, flip it around, and remake this back piece. But I think I'm just going to soldier on and have some weird upside down images inside here. So this one I've got to try to get fit onto all of these. Oh, there's that one in. And like I said, it's more of an alignment thing than a force thing. So if you're finding you're having to squish and push really hard, it's just because you're not aligned yet. It should kind of fall in place when it gets aligned. Now at this point, I'm going to start using some tape because as I put the sides on and that back falls off, that's going to be frustrating. So I'm going to grab a small piece of tape here and put it just along the back here. I'm going to hold it right here at the corner. I'm going to push down with my finger and in with my thumb and kind of pinch them together. And then I'm going to put the tape. When I do it, I'm going to pull the tape nice and tight. And what that does, it stretches the tape, and then when it sticks on, it then pulls the clamp, it pulls the joint together and maintains a little pressure on it that way. I'm going to do the same thing over on this side. I don't need a ton of tape. I just want to tack it together now while I'm assembling it so it can go together easily. Okay, so now I've got that on. I'm actually going to put the top on next. And this top must go this way. And I think I'm seeing another mistake. I would have preferred the Vans logo. I didn't think about any of these logos, I guess. I would have preferred the Vans logo to be facing the deck instead of facing the back like it is. So to me, this is upside down. I would go back and recut this piece as well. So I messed up 3 out of the 4 engravings. Yay for me. Lesson. So again here I'm going to pinch these 2 together and then pull the tape nice and taut as I put it down. And so now that's going to be held together really well. And you may need more pieces depending on, like if you see a gap somewhere, put another piece of tape on it, try and close it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. We're just seeing if this whole thing goes together or not. Now I'm going to flip it over here and put the outside edge on. And this one just kind of fell right in place. That's kind of nice. And just a few pieces of tape just to hold it. Maybe I'll do one here too. I don't want to add tape over an edge like this because then the tape's underneath another piece and it's going to get trapped there. And I'm gonna have to find some way to extract it. So I'm gonna try and keep it on the faces if I can. A piece up here as well. And then the last side is this one. And then my dry fit is almost done. I've got to get the deck on still. But I want to get everything else on so that it's held really well together. So because the deck is going to take some force to get it on. So again there. Again, I'm not going to let the blue tape go underneath. You guys see this? Okay, I'm too far away. I'm not going to let the tape get underneath the deck there. And there. And there. Yeah, we'll do the top instead. Heck, maybe I'll do both. Put one there as well. Alright, so that's the basic tech deck. I'm going to put another piece in the middle here because I'm going to start cranking on it as I put the deck on. So here goes the hard part. Now this has to go this way. One thing to check real quick is to make sure that your deck is flexible. When you have the holes either on your left or on your right, so in one of your hands, it should flex really easily this way. If you rotate so that the holes aren't by your hand, they're either in front of you or out here, it should be pretty rigid. If it's the opposite of that, you've got to recut this piece and rotate the correct direction. So there's a flexible direction and an inflexible direction. This has to be the flexible direction. All right. So to line this up, I've got these 5 tabs along here and the 5 holes here. So I'm just going to try to, as I start bending it in, I'm just going to try to line up all those holes. It just kind of fell in place. Look at that. That was lucky. And now because I haven't in advance torn off some pieces of tape, I'm sort of stuck. Like I'm going to put my arm here and weigh it down while I try and use my hands to... So my elbow is kind of holding it down to the frame while I grab off a couple pieces of tape. I'm using the thick tape here because it's going to take a good deal of force to hold this down, and I just want more sticky than what I have. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want a nice tight fit wherever you put the tape. So I'm going to put some, wow, this is turning out to be a pain. Okay, there we go. I'm going to get the tape down flat, and now I'm going to really pull this tape taut before I press it down. You don't want a loose tape joint here. You want it nice and tight. And I'm actually going to take it right to the other side on first. I don't want to let it go yet. And I'm going to use my elbow to hold it down here. And now I'm using my thumb to hold it down. Always trying to keep it held down. Even that side out a little bit. I'm going to pull it nice and tight. And just rub that tape down on so it's got a really good adhesion to it. And then over here, I'm not going to wrap it around the bottom because I'm going to need to pull the bottom off later. I'm just going to tear it off at the bottom here. Okay. And now it's held on. You can see there is some gapping here still, but we'll solve that as we glue it, and we'll solve all these other gaps. What we're doing now is just trying to kind of get it held in place. And we're just trying to make sure that everything fits. So yeah, I think that's solid. Throw all this other stuff away. So yeah, there it is. That's the dry fit. So I think we're good. Now the other part of dry fitting, one like I said, is just to make sure things fit and we've cut all the right holes. If you missed cutting some holes somewhere, just go fix that, right? Go figure out how to fix it in Fusion. Go back to Inkscape, cut out the things you need, replace your parts. Making mistakes is just part of it. So yeah, that looks pretty solid. The next thing we do is start thinking about how we're going to glue this thing up. So the approach that I took is I'm actually going to take the bottom panels off. So any tape that goes over the bottom here, I'm just going to remove those pieces of tape real quick. Actually, let's hold off there. Let's hold off right there and just say, hey, in our next video, we'll start learning how to start gluing up everything.